Good evening. Good evening, kings and queens of the land. Good evening, the royals. Good evening. Good evening, kings and queens. Good evening, the liberated zones in Africa, Burkina Faso, led by President Ibrahim Traore, Mali, led by President Assimi Goita, Niger, led by President Abdurrahman Tian. Good evening to the liberated zone in KZN. KZN led by the MK party. The MK party has won the election in the province of KwaZulu Natal. That's why I call it the liberated zone in South Africa. Amazingly, there are blackouts. There's load shedding in France. There's actually load shedding even in America. There's load shedding in France because they were taking uranium from Niger for free. Now Niger has nationalized the uranium, and now there's load shedding in France. They are running out of electricity. What Africa is experiencing because of Europe. When Africa closed the taps, Europe start experiencing difficulties. I want to share at the end of this. I want to share a video by President Zuma. President Zuma speaking in vernacular. I will just give a little summary of what he was actually talking about. President Zuma talking about how umkhonto wesizwe party or umkhonto wesizwe military, the ANC, what we call armed division, the ANC armed division, which was umkhonto wesizwe. President Zuma was explaining on how it was formed and the material conditions which were existing at that moment, at those times when black people were formed, or the ANC was actually forced to go underground and create the army which was going to fight against the apartheid. President Zuma was giving an explanation on even how the MK party was named, and the name was suggested by Chief Albert Luthuli. He gave the background of the conditions in which existed at that time that made the youth to seek armed revolt against the apartheid government. He explained about the white man who was standing and asking people, where is he standing? And then they couldn't answer him. And at the end of the day, he said he was standing on top of the kafir, standing on top of the kafir. That's where he was standing. And he said he was gonna create rules which were gonna implement exactly what he's saying, standing on top of a black man. That's where the white man was standing. So President Zuma explained that those material conditions necessitated that the armed struggle be formed, be created, and then Umkhonto Wesizwe military was established, and it was named by Chief Albert Luthuli. He was explaining on whether it is time for youth now to declare the same thing, and how basically giving a guideline. I'll actually play the video, but I'm just giving a brief explanation for those who are not, who will not be able to listen to the vernacular in which President Zuma is talking. The MK party, the President Zuma has formed the MK party in order to taken over from the Umkhonto Wesizwe military. President Zuma has formed now again, resuscitated the MK party, Umkhonto Wesizwe party, in order to liberate black people. South Africa under the colonial administration of the British. President Zuma organizing black people to take over South Africa. The elections which were contested, the previous elections in which the Ramaphosa became president. President Ramaphosa knows he was not voted by South Africans. The Democratic Alliance was not voted by South Africans. Even in KZN, the ANC was not voted, the IFP was not voted by South Africans or by people of KwaZulu Natal, but they forced themselves into people because we are in a military government. The so-called democracy government, it's basically a military government under the colonial administration. The colonial administrators are the politicians. The colonial masters is British and the Americans. President Ramaphosa is a leader of a colonial administration in South Africa. The MK party has called for black people to go to the street with regards to the outcome, with regards to what President Ramaphosa has said about Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, the actions in which President Ramaphosa is going to take about Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. The MK party is not satisfied about that. The MK party, for the first time, calling for South Africans to go to the street. MK party calling for South Africans to go to the street for the very first time. The meaning of calling for South Africans to go to the streets is basically a serious matter. It's not a playing matter. It's not an issue to play about. It's a very serious matter in which it will involve what happened for us to be here. President Ramaphosa, after the elections, President Zuma said the IEC should not announce the results because the MK party is rejecting the elections and it has got evidence of vote rigging in South Africa. It has evidence, tangible evidence of vote rigging in South Africa. But the colonial masters went ahead to declare the elections. Defying what President Zuma requested from the colonial administration, that they should not go ahead to announce the elections because they have been caught on their actions of robbing the elections against black people, against the MK party. They went ahead and announced the results. And after that, President Zuma said they should not go ahead to declare Ramaphosa as the state president because there's still a dispute. They went ahead and went illegally and implemented the colonial government. The government of President Ramaphosa is backed by the colonial masters, and the government of Ramaphosa cannot be removed by South Africans or black people. Removal of President Ramaphosa, it's going to cost a lot for black people. In Kenya, young people who are trying to remove, in Kenya, young people are trying to remove William Ruto. In Nigeria, young people are trying to remove Tinubu, Bola Tinubu. In South Africa, if you try to remove President Ramaphosa, the same thing is going to happen. The army is going to be unleashed against the people. If you try to go to mobilize to the street, to mobilize South Africans to the streets, it's going to, there will be an ambush. Probably an ambush is going to happen. Is it the start of the new South Africa? Or is it the collapse of the hope of all the South Africans about their road to freedom? President Zuma has never ruled out a possibility. He said, we will take our land in any way possible. If we cannot take the country using the balut, which there is a case against the IEC. Even today, the case is not able to go to court because the courts are not going to be able to, the IEC will not be able to defend themselves if the MK party goes to court. So the GNU has forced themselves on South Africans. They are ruling illegally. They don't want to even go to court about the robbing of elections in South Africa because they know there's overwhelming evidence against them. Is it time for South Africans to go to the street to give their lives to free South Africa? President Zuma mentioned that there's nobody who is going to come from somewhere outside ourselves, who's going to come from somewhere outside us and liberate us. We have to know that it's either us or nobody is going to come. We will be in this and our children are going to be in this thing forever. Thank you very much, King Victor Shongwe, joining. The vote rigging is haunting the fake GNU. The aim of vote rigging is to make sure that they discourage black people from voting because even if you go and vote, they will take the vote and give to what the people they want. So black people will be discouraged, or black youth will be discouraged to go and vote. But the high numbers which will be going to vote is those who agree with the GNU. Then the GNU will become the government, and a legitimate government in South Africa. The Democratic Alliance will become a legitimate government in South Africa, because black people will be discouraged to go to vote when they continue to rig the votes every time they go and vote. So the only people who will be encouraged are those ones whom the votes are working for them, which is white people. Mr. Shaw, what says, where are the people who were begging Zuma must fall? Where are those people? Big question, big question. Where are those people now to say Ramaphosa must fall? We all can realize that this is the government of the mafia, led by mafias, where crime is protected, criminals are protected, but ordinary citizens are not protected. So where are the people who were calling on President Zuma, who were calling that Zuma must fall, who were saying Zuma must fall? Let me share a video of Phil Mbalula, who was actually briefing the media earlier on. I want to play this video because this is very important. The MK party has also briefed the media earlier, but what is important, I want us to look.
It must stop for good. And state institutions, we cannot forget, as a country where we come from, not so long ago, must be strengthened. It's painful for all of us to see a state prosecutor on television and say that I'm not strong. Okay? Then the criminals are emboldened. Lawlessness creeps in. It's painful to see a general of the police says, look, I'm faced with this situation and this is what we are faced with. And our country can't fold arms in relation to that. And our president have demonstrated that it is the country first that matters and the protection of the rule of law. That's what President Ramaphosa have done. Whether you like it or not, others don't like it or not, but they will be seen for who they are. Populism. We are addressing a problem here. Other people are calling.
He agrees that it's painful. Fikile Mbalula says it's painful for South African to see a state prosecutor coming out on TV saying, I'm unable to prosecute people. And it's painful for police commissioner to come out and say, I'm unable to arrest people because prosecutors can't prosecute. But the question was his view about what the MK party is about to do, to call people to the street. So he agrees that it's actually painful what the ANC government is doing to black people. It's actually painful, but there should not be action. The only action that should actually come from Ramaphosa, and Ramaphosa, whose actions we know I've actually predicted before that is going to call for a commission of inquiry, and that commission of inquiry will be led by people that he will appoint the people who are going to protect him from, shield him from all of this. So let's continue to hear what he's saying.
To go to the streets. We have not finished the anarchy of July riots, which was in vain. Again, it was about the rule of law. One person holding the country at ransom. And when the state responded to that, it became personal. Ramaphosa versus this one. Undermining of the rule of law. They want to repeat that today using Mkhwanazi. They want to repeat that today. And I remember Mkhwanazi saying that he didn't know that ministers love alcohol so much and so on. He had to go and defend alcohol. And there were reasons for that anyway. But the fact of the matter is that even then, the major issue there, when people were running up and down in the townships, the issue was the rule of law. That's why the president attended this matter and elevated this matter to this level, so as to deal with issues. So why will we attend General Mkhwanazi and use political polemic to characterize him as though we have run out of ideas? We can't do that. We are addressing what he has raised, and we are attending to that. And that's what is important. Any diversion that seek us to do something other than what we're supposed to deal with, it's anarchy. We will just be allowing these people who are hell-bent on promoting and running the country down on anarchy to just do as they wish. You know, I've mentioned President Zuma deliberately in this press conference, which is not the intention, because I've had people who support him in the streets and marching with clad regalia of MK, which is camouflage, saying that they stand for the rule of law. Where were these people when the state intervened decisively to get rid of Bekicele through the Muloi Commission? Where were
Balula has already declared that the MK party march on Friday is going to be anarchy. And he is relating the march to the July unrest. We all remember that during the July unrest, there were about 400 black people who were forced to leave their body. Let me use that language. Who were forced to use their body through guns. 400 people were forced to leave their body through their bodies, through guns, riddled with guns by the state, who were saying this is anarchy. Are we going to see another ambush again? Are we going to have 400 or more people again who are going to be forced to leave their bodies on the streets, riddled with guns? Are we going to have, once again, burials? Fikile Mbalula has already declared the march of the MK party on Friday as anarchy. The march that seeks to protest against the criminals that were announced by the police commissioner, General Mkhwanazi. Fikile Mbalula says it will be anarchy. And if it's anarchy, then the law must take its hands. When the law takes its hands, its place, they mean the colonial administration will send the soldiers to go and unalive people or force people outside to go out of their body. The bodies will be riddled with guns, and people will be forced to leave their bodies in the streets. Are we going to have 1,000 black people forced to leave their bodies through the guns? Because now the mobilization that the MK party is having, it's huge. It's bigger than what the July unrest that is talking about. This would be bigger than Marikana. This would be bigger than the July unrest, the protest, the number of people who will be involved here. It's bigger than all those numbers. Mr. Victor Shongo says Malula is intimidating the people, yet democracy permits civil disobedience. He's not even actually threatening. He's just giving, uh, he's just promising what is going to happen to black people who are going to march against this colonial administration. He's giving a promise of what they want to do against anyone who's going to be out in the street. They've done it before. That's why he says in July it was in vain. So they eliminated, forced 400 people out of their bodies, eliminated 400 black people, and nothing happened. And he says it was in vain. And it's true, it was in vain for black people because nothing happened at the end of the day. The colonial administration went on. Even today, the colonial administration is on top of our heads. They are implementing this. It was in vain for black people. What will happen this time around? How many people are going to be taken out? He's already declared it as anarchy. Victor Shomo says Mbalula characterized national issues as an MK problem. These are serious matters. These are issues of safety for all South Africans. These are issues of sober country, sober children. People are suffering. People are living with children who are on drugs. The township is in chaos because of this. The politicians, these are their businesses. Selling the stuff is their business. That's where they get their money. That's where they get their money for selling out their people. The MK party is calling for people, for South African to the streets because the MK party loves South Africa and the MK party represents the people of South Africa. The other parties are never going to call people, South Africans, to the streets. They are never going to mobilize the people to the street. They are going to speak in parliament because they know in parliament there won't be any impact. Nothing will happen. It will just be speaking, and then after speaking, nothing will happen. Then that's what they want. All the other parties which are paid by our colonial businesses, the colonial businesses which are built by the colonial masters, the British and the Americans, the imperial masters and the colonial masters. So Fikile Mbalula has already issued a warning to black people. Not, I don't want to call it a warning because this is the truth. It's what they did in what they are currently doing in Kenya. People are disappearing. More people are disappearing. Young people are disappearing in Kenya. Young people are being forced out of their bodies, getting unalived, riddled with guns, some kidnapped, some tortured, all of these issues. That's what is happening. And what happened in Mozambique, where the colonial master in Mozambique, the imperial masters, which are the Americans, have installed their own president there. Daniel Chapo was not voted by people there. Everybody was protesting against those elections, but nothing happened. They forced themselves in them, like they did in South Africa. Even in Kenya, Ruto was not really properly voted. Now, those who are coming out and saying they want Ruto out are disappearing. That's what they do. They are happy to do that because these are mafias. That's how they took over the land. They took over the land through the guns. If you take the land by the guns, you can only maintain it by the guns. So they took it by the guns and they will maintain it by the guns. The natives are going to, our children are going to suffer massively if this war cannot be won at this moment. President Zuma has said he promises that he will not die before he liberates this country. But we've got people like uh, Floyd Shivambu, who are delaying the progress that President Zuma was making. We've got people like Julius Malema who are refusing to let black people unite and become one. We've got people like Ramaphosa who are clearly ambassadors of the colonial administration. Are we going to have, is the MK party going to win this war? Is South Africa, this is a serious matter. Is South Africa ready? Are South Africans ready to liberate themselves from Nyaope? Are South Africans ready to liberate themselves from the legal drugs and the illegal drugs that are being fed to their children? The Nyaope population is increasing. The number of insane people is becoming higher than the number of the sane people. Are we going to have young people who are going to fight in the streets Or are we going to see a lot of young people sleeping in corners out of drugs? South Africa has to make a choice. Viva the MK party. Ajasi Kalonga, if I'm pronouncing right. Ajasi Kalonga says, Viva MKP. Thank you for sharing that message. Click the like button and subscribe. My name is Mngoni Mkonto. This is the Royal Opinion. I am talking about basically some briefing that President Zuma had about the prevailing conditions in which necessitated for the Umkhonto weSizwe military to be formed, military wing of the ANC to be formed, and what necessitated for them to declare war against the apartheid. The same conditions today exist, um, which made uh, the young people at that time to take over their arms and declare war against apartheid. Uh, is it necessary for South Africans or for people in South Africa? Is it the condition, or for the MK party, are the conditions prevailing uh, justified for the MK party to go to the streets at what we're talking about at this moment? Are we ready to see what the colonial administration is going to do to black people? All parties are and all races were on the streets today in KZN. All people, everybody is angry. People are not happy about, because this is a problem that affects almost everybody. Almost everybody has got somebody they know who are suffering this problem. Almost every family has got a relative who is on drugs. Almost every family, every person has got a relative who is on drugs. Some affected in a way that even 2, 3 people in the same home, or the mother and the father, and there's no home at the end of the day. If you get them addicted, then there's no home at the end of the day if the mother and the fathers are addicted. So that is what is happening at the current moment. And nobody enjoys that. This is very difficult times for many people. Do we want to decrease the population of those people, or do we want to increase it? If we follow the script that Ramaphosa wants to follow, we're going to increase. Action is needed for people. Some other actions are needed, which are different, which are going to confront the problem head on, not which is going to try and cover the problem so that people forget about it. And after 3 weeks, people will forget about it. At the moment, the way it is, the commission which is formed is only formed to check if what Mkwanazi is saying is not lying. Now we are focusing on whether Mkwanazi is lying or not lying. we're not focusing, or we will not be focusing on the people whom are accused of their criminal activities. We're going to turn our eyes to discredit what Mkwanazi is saying. That is the focus. The focus of the commission will be to try to discredit what Mkwanazi is saying. The witnesses which are going to be called are going to be controlled. It's not going to be everybody. Even the Zonda Commission refused to call some of the witnesses. Some of the witnesses who volunteered, like Arthur Fraser, who volunteered, wanted to go to the commission. He said, I have evidence that you may want to use. They refused to let him go to the commission. Even this one commission, which has been illegally established, is going to do the same. There will be witnesses which are going to be refused to go to the commission, and there will be witnesses which are going to be forced to go to the commission. Those who want to tell the truth are not going to be allowed to go to the commission to tell the truth. We all know that's going to happen. And this commission does not even have the time frame for the next. If you are a mother and you've got children who are suffering from this, you still have to wait for God knows how long until the commission concludes, because they were going to issue a preliminary report after 3 months. And they are going to issue another report after 6 months, and they will issue a report to the speaker in an unspecified period. So it means if you are a mother and you've got a problem with these children who are hooked, then it means you will have to wait that long. You will have to wait that long to know if the drug dealer will be out of the street. Is he gonna fall? Is he gonna fall? There was scandals. There are a lot of scandals on him. But because he is supported by the colonial master, he's still standing. Let me share this video, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm going to talk a lot. But the video that I wanted to share here, where President Zuma is addressing the material conditions of what at that time was prevailing. Is it necessary? Let me share this video, and thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, everybody, for joining the live stream. Let me share. I think maybe after sharing, I will immediately go out of the video. It will be the end of the video. Thank you.
Okwakufanele manje uthathe ikhali ulwe ukhulula izwe lakithi. Angazi noma nayibona le ndawo. Ngiyakhumbula ukuthi ibhunu lathini yebo intsha yathini yini esekugcineni obani manje laba bakhulumayo oMotherboard kulapho kwashintsha khona isimo, and besingakwazi-ke ukuthi sizothi ngoba manje siyabona ukuthi inhlupheko iningi bese sifuna enye into. abadala basitshena ukuthi umkhonto is a solution to solve our problems. Besingeke senze okunye. Ibalulekile ukuthi siyibambe kanje lento ngoba akuyona into yokudlala lesikuyona manje. Akuyona into yokwenza nje ngoba kwenziwa. Akuyona into ukuthi sibe nomhawu noma sifuna ukuba ngcono kunabanye. Into yethu sonke le umkhonto wesizwe ukukhulula umuntu omnyama. Yabona ungasubala abantu abamnyama bafa since the coming of the people ababesenza into bangabazenza zona. Into ongakwafuna ukuyilalela. It is very necessary for us to liberate ourselves. Akekho umuntu ofika. Noma bangakhuluma luphi ulimi. Akekho umuntu oyofika yithi esezikhipha la. Kuba buhlungu ke uma sisonke sihlangene kanje siphinde sixabane sodwa. Ngamanye amagama isho lonto ukuthi ukujula okufuna kwethu kuba umkhonto wesizwe akulingani. Okunye kuyisicekanyana nje. Okunye kuhafu mhlawumbe. Kodwa bakhona ke nabokugcwalisa inya abangakutshela ukuba silindele ukufa manje kunokuphila. Uma kunjalo kusho ukuthi ngamanye amagama uyazinikela ukuthi for abantu bakithi I'm prepared to die to liberate abantu bakithi asebahlupheka ngokuhlupheka. Ngoba noma ungahlala uphila isikhathi eside ubusa awuzozi lutho. Sithi ke kungcono ukufa ufele khona. Kukhona nawe ukwenzile. Ngamanye amagama ucabanga ukuthi ufanele ukuthi kujule kunendlela okuyiyo. Kujule kushone phansi. Sasenza nathi bafana. Uma kuthi umkhonto umenyezelwa kuthi umkhonto wesizwe usumile wona ozobamba. Sasambe sifuna ngala kanti laba abakhokheli bethu abanye yibo abayiphethe abaseni lutho bayihambela nje bathi awu nathi sayifuna bafana. Ingaphi? Ngoba kwakuthiwa imfihlo nokuba nesibindi ungahambi ukukhuluma zonke izinto lezi ibalulekile. Sasingakwazi ukuthi sigxekane. No. Sasingakwazi ukuthi sigxekane. Sasingayikhuluma izinto zethu esigangeni zaziwe izitha nombani. Ngoba kwakukhona idiscipline lebishiwo umfana wasenkandla. Ingakho kwahamba abelungu babona ukuthi ayikho lento. Bona basarende. Basirobha still ngoba bathola abantu impimpi ezizobasiza. Kwasho ukuthi kayikapheli into ethu saphambili. Besingenaso esinye isizathu sokuthi sohlala nje sifeke ngoba uNkulunkulu akasithandi. uNkulunkulu wasenza sonke ngokufanayo. Wasishiya sinjalo kukuwe. Ungafuni ukuthi ube into engcwele. Ufuna ukuba into nje. Ngibona abanye abantu umuntu esephuzile engasazazi nokuthi ubani igama lakhe kodwa ufuna ukuthi sihambe ngofuna ubashaya. Sobashaya sibabulale thina abasazi kahle. Akasaboni emehlweni kodwa. Ngizama uku-emphasize into eyodwa ukuthi ukuthatha isinqumo sokuthi sijoinele umkhonto sifuna ukukhulula izwe lakithi kufanele kube yinto eserious ayi encane nje. Akufanele kube into nje kudlalwa ngayo. Sidlala ngayo kanjani? Yabona ngesinye isikhathi ukuze uthi hey ukufunda lokho ngesinye isikhathi kuyinkinga. Whilst kubalulekile kodwa at the same time kuyinkinga. Khonto wesizwe just 1 year neyinyanga, akunjalo? Kodwa indlela esesiwakhe ngayo ngesitumo yamangazi ithuse izwe lonke, by the way. Ayithusanga nje South Africa kuphela ne-Africa, the whole world. The whole world. At the same time, senza into ongazange uyibone emlandweni wempi makuthiwa kuyaliwa. Abelungu benza izinto ezisheshayo. Lapho khona ukwazi ukukhuluma nomuntu umfonele manje in a minute eseLondon akhulume nawe. Into ongazi ukuthi yenzeka kanjani. Uyashaya ku. Hello. Hello. Sekushabelungu phela lephesheya. Seyifikile njalo. And thina sihlupheka sinje. We miss the real things lezi ebekade lensizwe ikhuluma ukuthi kufanele ukuthi sibe nenhlonipho whatever. Lezi zinto ezimnandi eziphucukile esikhuluma ngazo manje senza yonke into manje. Yizo futhi esilimaza ngaso thina qobo. Kuhle kuba khona into eziphakeme lapha kodwa uma umuntu ufanele ukuthi uzicabangele uzoyiphatha kanjani. Angicabanga mhlambe bambala abantu abangathi abekho emagroupini. Bambala. Athandwa kabi amagroup ethu. But inkinga esibulala ngayo organization kulawo magroup mayibabo. And then khuzeke because you think it is life. Angazi ukuthi why, where did we get ukuthi sizoba namagroup lapho esikhuluma khona ukuzondana nezimfihlo zethu zilalelwe yilo lonke izwe leli. Bani ungaphika ukuthi akukho lokho. Sikwenzelane if at all we want to liberate abantu abamnyama.
President Zuma is basically addressing, I think this is important, that's why I come in to basically interpret for those who can't hear. President Zuma is talking about WhatsApp groups, the MK party members, which are, who are almost all the members have got WhatsApp groups, warning them, giving a strong warning that the WhatsApp groups or whatever is on WhatsApp belongs to white people, and white people are able to listen to those things. And we're talking all of our secrets on WhatsApp. We're talking all of our frustrations and our fight against each other, because that's what we normally do. It's as if the WhatsApp groups are formed for the MK members to fight against each other, not to plan against the enemy. We've been made, like a lot of black people have been made, to be afraid to fight the enemy, to confront the enemy, but look at the other person as the soft target who can be attacked. So President Zuma trying to address the issue of WhatsApp groups in the MK party. I think that was quite important.
Why in the war awukazi uthathe amacebo akho nezinto zakho uzijene isitha sakho? Siyakwenza thina sonke la kulamara kulelo kuzane ngikhuluma ngayo ama-group. Phikani mangingenjalo, njenana yonke into le elalelwa izitha zethu zisazi nokuthi sicabangani senzani ngoba into zabo lezi bayazilalela. Siyezwana. I don't think we can remove singakhipha usulu lapho noMandela. Kithina nje simazi ngaba sibambe one by one. Ngoba asikho lapho sikwelinye izwe. I-civilization yabelungu esikhundleni ukuba thina siyisebenzise to help ourselves, siyisebenzisa to help the enemy. Bazi yonke into, ayikho into abangayazi sixoxa ngoba uyabona nje masisuka la. Hey, besilapha. Yazi nje, Thixo waseGeorge Gqorha, iphi revolution lab? Iphi? Kithina sonke. Kithina sonke abahloniphayo nabangahloniphi. Lento elezinto okukhulunywa ngazo into nje yakhiwe kodwa yalibulalizwe ibula ithina ke manje. Bathukana benzeka lokho kwasha kwavuta i-enemy yabhala njalo naka ama-weaknesses naka ngeke umuzwe umlungu enza lento esiyenzayo because bayazi ukuthi bayimbijana. Kufanele ukuthi bayiphathe kahle. Into zabelungu ziyasihlanyisa. Noma sesithi siyayithola inkululeko bobe sebesazi mhlawumbe bobe sebesinikeza amakhonyana nje. Ngeke basho ukuthi asibazi abantu abacabangana. Kunini konje lapha bekuyizolo nokusekuseni namhlanje namhlanje. Laba ababhalayo kimina akukhuluma enqamalala awukhuluma angikhulumi mina ngiye ngale njalo nje because into bengisenkantolo sengikhohliwe besisenkantolo kumele nje lo lapho siyahamba babuya nento zabo bangaphekwanga ngathi no angikhulumi angizile kuzokhuluma ngisecaleni mina nomfana angisho lutho nje. It's not my wish ukuthi into ngikhuluma nje nabantu abathanda ngithanda ukukhuluma nelokuzana uThixo ngifuna ukuzwakala kuqala. Abanye bayibhedele nje bethi bafane nami nje ngeke silithole kanjalo izwe as a reality. Mhlawumbe it will take a long time because izinto zethu
President Zuma is basically saying if we're going to continue to talk all of our secrets and fight against each other on WhatsApp, we will not be able to get our land back. We will not be able to fight them back because they know all of our plans. There's nothing that they don't know about us. They know even who to approach, who can be easily approached. Because whenever we come from every meeting or in all the meetings, we go to WhatsApp, we go to social media and reveal whatever we were discussing. That's what President Zuma is warning about it, that this is a stern warning that if we want to attain our freedom, we will have to be discreet. They must not know what we are thinking about. If they know everything about us, how can you plan anything against them? If they know everything about you, they will have ways to defend themselves so that you don't take over your land. That's what he's saying.
ayikho into engaziwa ilokhuzana wathiwa yini yebo phikani akakaphika bemyeshi ngeke niphike. Why can't we stop those things? Sikhulume la kufuna sikhulume ezinye izinto ningi into ongayikhuluma thina sikhuluma lezi zethu ayikho into eyenziwa yithi ingaziwa ayikho phikani nginizwe ayikho kodwa sifuna izwe manje sifuna manje kodwa yithi futhi silibuyisele emuva manje ngiyafisa ukuthi angazi ukuthi singenza kanjani because nilikhuni ngoba nihlakaniphile. Uma singazi sithi ayiphele leyo nto bangathi uyabona uyahlanya ke manje. Sihlanyela ngempela. Backward. Akunjalo. Nethula. Thula kufanele. If we are serious, we must be serious. Ngemva kokuthi sesiqedile ke ungazenza kama-groupini. Because nobody authorized ukuthi anizukhuluma kulabo enisebenza nabo, nikhuluma nje yonke iSouth Africa. Ngazi yaqhamuka. Sabotage. Basho bayaziyo leyo. Ngamanye amagama lento esingene kuyo is a serious thing. Akuyona into yokuxabana. Akuyona into yokuxabana, akuyona into yokuqoshelana, akuyona into yokubukisana. Into yokuthi asikhulule umuntu omnyama. And if sifuna ukukhulula umuntu omnyama, asibe serious. Ngiyajabula nje ukuthi silasibazi bangaka wasiqhamuke endaweni eziningi. Udaba lolu ebekade ngilungingazi uba hey ngizothi ngena ngaphi. Ngoba sibizana konje sibizana sithini? Commander. Ake ngimxoxelele ka commander ngiyixoxe izinto. Azi ukuthi ucommander usho ukuthini? Should sonke siyalingana. Sonke we are the same. Akekho ophethe omunye siphathene. Sonke siyalingana. Leyo nto yenza ukuthi sibe weak. Singahloniphanga. Because ucommander ngidlula ngani? Commander, ya commander. Into serious kabi leyo is a military word. Commander, umuntu ocommanda ama forces. A commander yena mase kukhulumena akakhuluma omunye umuntu. Sayifaka nje kuba phela sasijahile sizama ukuthi sisheshe sithathe umbuso. Manje sihleli namatheli 10 As a result, uyazi lento kuthiwa yini imlokuzana elenganayo. Parallel. Iyo lento because umuthi no kukhethwe mina ukuthi ngiphethe. Navela ikhethela abantu abakho niyalingana mos. Commander no command. That's a problem. Menhlanhla ngiyanazisa nina. Sesiyixoxile siyayiqeda yonke lonto. Comrade akubo comrade siyeke ukwenza lento esiyenza ngoba ayisizi ngalutho. Indaba ungayibuzanga. So ilungisa nje yonke kahle. So imemezela iphakathi nendawo. Siyayilungisa ukuthi izinto zizolunga kuze sihloniphane. That's why ukuhloniphana kungekho. Omuthi ngcono nami ngcono ngizwe ngokomanda sonke. Yeah, so commander, what's wrong? Good morning, commander. Good morning, commander. Finish. Yazi ukuthi ishone another thing. Isho ukuthi ukucabanga kwethu we are very slow. Siyenza nje lokho kuqhamukile. We are not sitting like the two old men when we were banned. Abahlala phansi bathi, what must we do? The time to take up arms has come. And they were ready to convince others. Baba convinced us sufficiently. Because they were thinking leaders. And I'm very happy ukuthi ngithole nishipile namhlanje. Ningabizi ngishutiki. But ke angiyeke leyo. I'm saying this because ngifuna ke sicabange ngenye indlela thina as umkhonto wesizwe. ake nilalele nje bekunini konje bekunini kwesithi laba baseParliament obani the honorable people abasidumazile ezweni abasiphoxile mayibabo utshela indaba ungayibuzanga kule nkulu hayi kule ncane isiphoxa ngokwayo nawo le encane esinayo inezinkinga zakodwa le nkulu hawu yeheni sebekhuluma lapha thina silindele ukuthi basitshele sifika la siya khona babhizi bayaxabana bathuwana kwenzeka lokho hawu nanku umhlolo wavuka ngelinye isonto ngisazi liphi kukhulunywa ngathi nje kubi bayabulalana sinowanieja sikenzi lutho and ngiyazi ukuthi one of the problems yiphi sifake abantu abasebancane lapha youth angisho ukuthi yona kodwa ehluphayo but iyahlupha it's natural kubantu abancane ukuthi basebenzise ingqondo bayivule bethi konke bangakhuluma noma yini ingakho kufanele ukuthi balalele abantu abadala ingakho kufanele ukuthi abantu abadala bakwazi ukudila nabo ukuthi ho thulani anikazi lutho ungathi ungakazi uhlangane ngisho nenyoka nje emgwaqweni usuthi uzokwenza into enzima mina-ke ziyangihlupha lezi zinto ngathula ngalala busuku bonke ngithi hawu madoda siyothi sibe siphi la why kungabonakali ukuthi nansi le party efuna ukuthatha izwe unqonye ukuthi hayi uyabona indlela eyenza ngayo hayi khona part of the thing ile bengisho le imqongo lekukhulunywa ngayo because abantu abakwazi ukuthula bakhulume izimfihlo zabo ezinye ilokuzana inhlangano nengcanyana nje ngeke kuze ukuthi bake baxabana okanye kwakhulunywa bathule kuthethu thina okuthiwa sibaningi zothatha izwe khona manje yithi we spend more time sithukana senza yonke inhlobo yento le akumnandi kubuhlungu bafowethu if at all we said we want to take the country ifocus yethu should be there ayingabe into enencane
President Zuma trying to address what black people, what derails a lot of black people thinking it's intelligence, attacking each other for petty reasons, for petty issues, or trying to fix each other for petty things that we other people do. We try to fix those things instead of focusing on the major issue, which is taking over the land, taking over the country, and taking the resources back from the white people. President Zuma saying we spend more time fighting against each other than fighting against the enemy. If we were fighting against the enemy as much as we're fighting against ourselves, we're already going to be liberated by now. But pity is we fight against each other more than we are fighting against the enemy. Is talking about referring to issues on WhatsApp groups. Can someone please ask JZ what happened to the 2021 unrest case against Kopol Gopa brothers? You see, this is what he's talking about. Somebody is giving, this is exactly the example. This is very petty. It's not what black people are looking for. We're looking for the land. You are talking about 2021. What are we going to do even if you answer about 2021? 2021 is history, is past. We want the land. The land still belongs to white people, but you want us to focus on things that are not going to help black people in any way. Even if we answer that question, what help will black people get from that? But what is important is when black people are focusing on how to get the land, how to take over the power, the road to govern our own country, the road, the map, the road map, which can be used to govern our own country. That's what we need to do. It was apartheid and another. It was apartheid and another to do with history. What is that? Why do we? Why do you want us to discuss that when we say we want the land? We want the land. Stop talking about apartheid. We want the land tomorrow. We want the land today. We want the land yesterday. Let's talk about how are we going to get the land. Don't tell us about apartheid. Apartheid was practiced on us by the colonial master, is still being practiced even today. That's why we seek liberation. That's why there's an outcry. That's why black people seek to be liberated from this chaos. That's why President Zuma, instead of spending time with his grandchildren, is out on the street fighting still at his age. That is the reason. It's because apartheid is still being practiced. So we need a roadmap. We cannot be discussing things that have already passed, or even if we get successful on them, we're not going to get the land. We want to discuss things if, when successful, we're going to get the land. We want to discuss things if, when successful, we're going to get our economy back. We're going to stop the spillage, which the exploitation, the spillage, the abuse that was started by white people when they came to South Africa to take over all resources or all natural resources to themselves. The language should be talking about it. We should even stop watching soccer and focus on that. We should stop every other thing that we are doing and focus on the roadmap to take back the land, the left and the right hand of the road, wherever you are traveling, the left and the right side of the road belongs to white people. Black people will be cramped somewhere when you're driving along N1, they will be cramped along. You will see them somewhere in a square kilometer of land. The discussion should not lose focus. Some other people want us to discuss tribalism. This is not time to discuss tribalism, because even tribalism does not even cannot be practiced by black people. A black person cannot practice tribalism, because tribalism is a system. Tribalism is a system which was implemented by white people, which means they divide black people according to their culture. They put black people against each other according to their culture. That is tribalism. Certain different tribes use different cultures. So they make other people fight against each other with minor differences. It's a system which was used for apartheid. It will not be implemented by a black person because it takes a lot of resources to implement tribalism. But people want us to discuss that the MK party is a tribal, uh, uh, party. What help are we going to find from there? President Zuma says nobody is going to come to liberate us from these chains. There's nobody who is going to come from anywhere to liberate black people from these mafias who are running the country, from the drug mafias who are here running the country, the mafia politicians who are running the country. Nobody is going to come and liberate us from these people. We have to stand up as people and liberate ourselves. That's what President Zuma says. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining the live stream. Let's join another live stream hopefully tomorrow. Enjoy your night.